Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Historicalish. This is episode 5 of the Ancient Mysteries Volume 3. In this video, we will be covering the first half of the third tier, and if you enjoy this content, definitely make sure you subscribe. It helps me out a ton. I do want to remind you about the Discord server. We would love to have you if you're interested. There will be a link down in the description below. But without further ado, let's jump right in. Number 1. Sushruta. Sushruta, an ancient Indian physician, is known for his pioneering contributions to the field of medicine and surgery. He is traditionally credited with authoring the Sushruta Samhita, an extensive Sanskrit text on medicine and surgery, which is considered one of the foundational documents of Ayurveda, the traditional system of medicine in India. Sushruta's work is believed to have been composed sometime between 600 BC and 600 CE, with most scholars leaning towards the earlier dates within this range. Sushruta's contributions to the medical field are profound and quite varied, covering aspects of surgery, medicine, anatomy, and patient care. The Sushruta Samhita describes various surgical practices, including incisions, excisions, and the extraction of foreign objects. Sushruta is often cited as the father of surgery for his detailed descriptions of surgical techniques and instruments. One of the most remarkable aspects of Sushruta's work is his detailed description of rhinoplasty, which is the reconstruction of the nose, and other forms of plastic surgery. This knowledge was so advanced that techniques described by Sushruta were studied by British physicians in the 18th century and influenced modern plastic surgery. Sushruta also had a profound understanding of human anatomy, gained through dissection and study. His work provides detailed descriptions of the structure of the human body, including the bones, muscles, and organs. The Sushruta Samhita includes descriptions of procedures for treating cataracts or other eye diseases as well, showcasing an early understanding of ophthalmology. And apart from his surgical techniques, Sushruta's text also describes the preparation and use of hundreds of medical compounds, highlighting his contributions to pharmacology as well. The Sushruta Samhita is divided into several sections, covering different aspects of medicine and surgery. The text is a combination of Sushruta's teachings and later additions and commentaries by other scholars. Despite these later additions, the core of the text is attributed to Sushruta and his original contributions. The Sushruta Samhita not only serves as a medical guide, but also as a philosophical and ethical text, emphasizing the moral and ethical duties of physicians. Sushruta's legacy in the history of medicine is unparalleled, especially in the context of ancient medical practices. His innovative techniques and holistic approach to patient care were far ahead of their time and have influenced not only Ayurveda, but also the development of medicine in other cultures. The Sushruta Samhita remains a critical source for the study of ancient medical practices and continues to be used for other practices even today. So the mystery here mainly deals with when he was born and how he understood and gained this knowledge, but through his study and lifelong devotion to this field, it's not really much of a mystery, more so just an awe and fascination. Number 2, the Khatt Shebib. The Khatt Shebib is a mysterious and ancient stone wall that stretches across the landscape of Jordan, running north to south for approximately 150 kilometers, which is about 93 miles. This structure, also simply known as just the Wall, was first brought to the attention of the wider world by Sir Alec Kirkbride, a British diplomat in Jordan in the mid-20th century. Since then, archaeologists and historians have been intrigued by its origins, purpose, and just the people who built it. The Khatt Shebib is believed to have been constructed in the Nabatean period or possibly earlier, with some estimates dating back to the first millennium BC. The wall varies in height and width along its course, in some places reaching up to a meter high, and in others barely discernible from the surrounding landscape. It is accompanied in part by towers that might have served as guard posts or lookouts, I guess. But despite its considerable length, the wall is not continuous. It is broken up by natural features and in some places appears to have been constructed in segments. The construction technique and materials, mainly local stones, suggest that it was built with considerable effort but without the intention of serving as a formidable military barrier. So, as you probably guessed, the main mystery here is the actual purpose of the Khatt Shebib and what exactly it was used for. There are several theories that have been proposed. The first theory is that of an agricultural boundary. It suggests that the wall was built as a boundary marker for agricultural lands, possibly to control or manage the grazing of livestock. This theory is supported by the fact that the wall does not seem to be designed for defensive purposes, which brings us to the defensive structure theory. Despite its apparent lack of fortification, this theory states that the Khatt Shebib served as a defensive role, possibly as a deterrent against raiders or as a means of controlling movement across the region. Another possibility is that the wall was used to control trade routes and caravan passages across Jordan, perhaps serving as a way to tax or manage the goods moving through the area. And given the wall's nature, some have suggested that it may have held a symbolic or ceremonial significance for the people who built it, possibly related to ancient rituals or territorial claims. But yeah, archaeological interest in the Khatt Shebib has increased in recent years with surveys and studies aimed at understanding its construction, dating, and purpose. Without learning a whole bunch, these investigations have revealed that the wall is more complex than initially thought, with evidence of associated structures and settlements along its length. However, definitive conclusions about its origins and functions remain quite elusive. Number 3, the lost city of Crecsentis. George Gale, a diver with a passion for uncovering the mysteries of the past, has devoted over 50 years to exploring the Gulf of Mexico off the coast of Louisiana in search of an ancient city he believes existed 12,000 years ago. This lost city, which he calls Crecsentis, is said to have been a major civilization with connections to the architectural grandeur of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Gale's claims are based on sonar images depicting underwater structures and a pyramid, alongside reports from witnesses of strange electrical anomalies in the vicinity, reminiscent of those associated with the Bermuda Triangle. Gale's interest in the submerged city began after his studies in architecture at Louisiana State University and an archaeology trip to Mexico. His investigations have led him to large underwater granite mounds near these islands off the east coast of New Orleans. Despite the challenges posed by natural disasters including Hurricane Katrina in 2005 and the Deep Horizon oil spill in 2010, Gale's determination to uncover Crecsentis has still gone on to this day. Throughout his 44 expeditions since 1976, Gale has measured a pyramidal structure he describes as comparable in size to the Superdome in New Orleans. His dives have yielded pieces of old building materials, and local fishermen have also encountered granite blocks, materials not native to Louisiana. Moreover, the area is known for causing electric equipment on boats to malfunction, further deepening the mystery. The claims about Crecsentis have sparked skepticism, rightly so, among some experts. A study by Texas A&M University in the late 1980s suggested that the underwater rock mound might have been a collection of shipwrecks or ballast stones from Spanish or French vessels, rather than evidence of an ancient civilization. Despite having permission to dive at the site since 2011, Gale has yet to provide incontrovertible proof of the city's existence, and his quest has significantly strained his personal finances. Gale states that the pyramid and the surrounding structures could be remnants of a civilization predating the Maya, Inca, and Aztecs, possibly offering a new understanding of pre-Columbian history in the Americas. And if this were found to be true, this would significantly change our understanding of the Americas and how their societies operated pre-Columbian contact. Number 4, the mystery of the Shasu. The Shasu are mentioned in ancient Egyptian texts as a semi-nomadic people who inhabited the regions of the Levant and the Sinai Peninsula from the Late Bronze Age through the Iron Age. The term Shasu itself is often translated to mean those who move on foot, indicating a pastoralist lifestyle. Egyptian records frequently depict the Shasu as both trade partners and adversaries involved in skirmishes and raids on Egyptian territories. The mystery surrounding the Shasu primarily revolves around their cultural identity, their exact origins, and their potential connection to the early Israelites, which has sparked considerable debate among scholars. The Shasu are first mentioned in Egyptian texts dating back to the 18th dynasty, which was around 1550 to 1292 BC, and continue to be referenced until the end of the New Kingdom period. They are often described in these texts alongside other groups that the Egyptians interacted with, including as prisoners of war, laborers, and sometimes as causing trouble or rebellion against Egyptian authority. The Shasu lands, referred to as Shasu Ya, are of particular interest due to the possible connection to Yahweh, the God of the Israelites, suggesting early monotheistic worship practices among the Shasu. So there are some theories and speculations, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't be talking about it, and the first one and most interesting to me is the connection to the Israelites. Some scholars suggest that the term Shasu Ya found in Egyptian texts refers to the followers of Yahweh, and that these nomadic groups might have been proto-Israelites who eventually settled in the highlands of Canaan. This theory is supported by the mention of the land of the Shasu of Yah in an Egyptian list of place names, which some interpret as a reference to a geographical area associated with Yahwistic worship. The Shasu are believed to have been organized into tribes or clans, leading a nomadic or semi-nomadic lifestyle centered around pastoralism. Their social structure, religious practices, and the extent of their interactions with settled communities remain subjects of scholarly research because there's not much information about them. Despite the textual references, direct archaeological evidence of the Shasu is also scarce. Some sites in the Levant and the Sinai have been identified as possibly associated with the Shasu based on the style of habitation and material culture. However, distinguishing these sites as definitively as Shasu encampments or settlements is extremely challenging. The mystery of the Shasu does touch upon broader questions of identity, migration, and cultural interchange in the ancient Near East. Understanding who the Shasu were could provide valuable insights into the complex nature of the peoples and cultures that essentially inhabited and shaped the region's history, even though we might not know them as much as the Egyptians. Their stories intertwine with the emergence of major monotheistic religions, the dynamics of empire, and the survival of nomadic cultures in a world of growing state power. It is a fascinating read, and it's a fascinating topic in general. So if you want to know more, definitely go look it up and do your own research because it's pretty cool. Number 5, witch cult hypothesis. The witch cult hypothesis is a controversial theory that is stated the existence of pre-Christian pan-European pagan religion devoted to the worship of a horned god of fertility. This theory was most prominently advanced by Margaret Murray, a British Egyptologist and anthropologist, in her work The Witch Cult of Western Europe and the God of the Witches. According to Murray, the witches persecuted during the early modern witch trials were not practitioners of satanic magic or heresy, as commonly believed, but were instead the remnants of this ancient pagan cult. Murray argued that the witch trials of the 16th to 18th centuries were actually the persecution of this ancient pagan religion by the Christian Church. She suggested that the accounts from witch trials across Europe contained evidence of the witches' worship of a deity, often depicted as horned or wearing animal skins. Central to the witch cult hypothesis was the idea that this religion was focused on fertility and agricultural prosperity, engaging in rituals and ceremonies to ensure good harvests and the fertility of both the land and its people. Doesn't sound all that bad, right? Murray identified gatherings described in trial records as sabbats, arguing that these were not gatherings for the practice of malevolent witchcraft, but were instead the pagan cult's religious festivals. The witch cult hypothesis has been widely criticized and largely discredited by historians and scholars of witchcraft and paganism. Pretty much, they all kind of say the same thing, which include the selective use of evidence, anachronism and misinterpretation, lack of archaeological evidence, and so forth. Critics argue that Murray selectively used evidence from witch trial records, interpreting them to fit her theory specifically, while ignoring evidence that contradicted it. Scholars also say that Murray's interpretations of the trial records imposed anachronistic understandings of pagan practices on the past. Many of the rituals and beliefs she attributed to the witch cult were likely inventions of the witch hunters themselves, or were influenced by contemporary folklore rather than being evidence of some ancient religion. And just in general, there is a significant lack of archaeological evidence supporting the existence of a widespread, uniform pagan cult, as described by Murray. Most modern historians and archaeologists agree that the beliefs and practices of pre-Christian Europe were diverse and very localized and were not widespread and uniform. But despite the scholarly rejection, the witch cult hypothesis has had a lasting impact on popular culture and the neo-pagan movement. Elements of Murray's theories were incorporated into the development of Wicca and other modern pagan religions in the mid-20th century by figures such as Gerald Gardner, who viewed Wicca as a continuation of the witch cult. The idea of the witch cult also continues to influence literature, film, and art, where the image of the witch as a pagan practitioner rather than a malevolent sorcerer remains extremely popular today. Number 6, the mystery of the Blythe Intaglios. The Blythe Intaglios, also known as the Blythe geoglyphs, are a group of gigantic figures etched into the desert floor near Blythe, California, in the United States. These earthworks, located along the Colorado River in the Mojave Desert, depict various figures, including humans, animals, and geometric shapes. The largest human figure measures over 170 feet. The Intaglios are best viewed from the air, leading to their relative obscurity until the 20th century, when they rediscovered from an airplane. Their origins and purpose are the mystery here, making them a fascinating subject of study for archaeologists and historians who have continued to study them since their rediscovery. Although the Blythe Intaglios were officially documented by a pilot in the 1930s, Native American tribes in the region have long been aware of their existence. The geoglyphs are believed to have been created by the ancestors of the Mojave and the Kachin tribes, with estimates of their age ranging from 450 to 2,000 years old. And like I mentioned, the exact timing of their creation and the methods used to construct them are essentially what the mystery is here. So there are a bunch of theories, and the first one is the ceremonial and religious significance theory. Many scholars believe the Intaglios were created for religious or ceremonial purposes, surprise, surprise, possibly related to astronomical observations or as part of rituals invoking the gods or spirits. The figures are thought to represent mythological characters or deities significant to the creator's cosmology. And hand in hand with this, there is the theory about the alignment with celestial bodies. Some of the geoglyphs, not all, are aligned with celestial phenomena, such as solstices, suggesting they may have served an astronomical function, marking specific times of the year for agricultural or ceremonial reasons. Now, as you know, the more I dive into this, the more I have a problem with alignment with celestial bodies, just because it seems like everything has some sort of alignment. And with there being so many celestial bodies and so many celestial events, it's kind of hard for something to not align with it. Like, I think even my house is aligned with some sort of solstice or something. Anyways, they could also be used as tribal territory markers. This theory states that the Intaglios could have served as markers delineating tribal territories or as signposts guiding travelers through the desert landscape, which would be a lot more useful in my opinion. But in general, for the Native American tribes associated with the region, the Blythe Intaglios hold deep cultural and spiritual significance. They are not only remarkable artifacts of ancient artistry and engineering, but also sacred sites that connect present-day peoples with their ancestral past and the landscape they inhabit. Now, we may not fully understand why or how they are made or what purposes they serve, but it's interesting nonetheless. Number 7, Giant Footprint of Pingyan. The giant footprint of Pingyan is an intriguing and controversial feature located in the vicinity of the Pingyan village in the Guizhou province of China. This large human-like footprint embedded in granite has sparked significant interest and debate among locals, tourists, and researchers. The footprint measures approximately 22 inches long and 8 inches wide, suggesting an enormous size for the being that might have left it. Its existence has led to a variety of interpretations and theories, ranging from scientific explanations to more speculative ones involving mythology and ancient giants. From a scientific standpoint, the giant footprint of Pingyan poses several challenges. The main issue is that the granite is an igneous rock that forms from the cooling of magma deep within the Earth's crust, making it difficult for a traditional footprint to be imprinted in such material as it would in mud or sediment. Skeptics argue that the footprint-like indication could be a natural erosional feature or a coincidental formation rather than evidence of ancient giants or unknown hominids. The footprint has been used as key evidence supporting theories like ancient astronaut theory and proponents of the existence of giants in Earth's distant past. According to local legends and broader myths that span various cultures around the world, giants once roamed the Earth, and some believe that the Pingyan footprint could be evidence of their existence. Others have linked the footprint to stories of gods or celestial beings visited from the stars, suggesting that the footprint might be a relic of their presence on Earth. The giant footprint of Pingyan is often mentioned alongside other megalithic sites and mysterious ancient structures worldwide. These include other large footprints carved into rock surfaces, massive stone constructions that defy easy explanation using unknown ancient technologies, and artifacts that seem out of place or out of time, I guess. Proponents of ancient mysteries use these examples to argue for a reevaluation of the conventional historical narratives and the possibility of lost civilizations with advanced knowledge or technology, as we've talked about way too much. But honestly, not enough. To date, there has been limited formal archaeological study of the giant footprint, and much of the discussion about it comes from anecdotal reports and the promotion of the site as a curiosity or just a tourist attraction. For a more conclusive understanding of the footprint's origins and significance, more geological and archaeological investigations would definitely be necessary since there haven't been really any of them. Such studies could determine the age of the rock formation, the processes that might have led to the creation of the footprint-like shape, and any possible human involvement in its formation or modification. So, stay tuned. Number 8, the Taulas of Menorca. The Taulas of Menorca are a distinctive megalithic construction found exclusively on the island of Menorca, part of the Balearic Islands in Spain. These T-shaped stone monuments, dating from the late Bronze Age, roughly 1000 to 3000 BC, have confused archaeologists and historians, with their origins, purpose, and construction techniques, just like all of the rest of the megaliths. The word taula means table in Catalan, referring to the table-like appearance of these structures, which typically consist of a large vertical pillar or pillars supporting a horizontal slab. Each taula monument is located within a U-shaped or circular enclosure, which is thought to have had religious or ceremonial significance. The enclosures are often part of a larger Talaiotic settlements, indicating that the Taulas played a central role in the community's social or spiritual life. The precise engineering and just the sheer size of the Taulas, some reaching up to 13 feet high, demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of stoneworking techniques by their builders. The most widely accepted theory about the Taulas is that they served as religious or ceremonial functions, possibly as altars or focal points for worship. Archaeological evidence, including the presence of hearths, animal bones, and pottery fragments, suggest that rituals or offerings may have taken place within these enclosures. Some researchers have also proposed that the Taulas may have been used for astronomical observations or to mark significant celestial events, such as solstices or equinoxes. However, studies of the orientations have yielded mixed results, and this theory remains completely speculative. Of course. Another hypothesis states that the Taulas were associated with healing rituals or fertility rites, drawing parallels with other megalithic cultures where the stones were believed to possess powers or were involved in ceremonies to ensure agricultural success. The lack of written records from the Talaiotic culture have made it difficult to determine the exact significance of the Taulas. While comparisons with other megalithic sites in Europe provide some context, the unique features of the Taulas suggest a distinct cultural expression. Ongoing archaeological research, including the excavation of the enclosures and analysis of artifacts, continues to provide limited understanding of them and the society that created them, but we still are learning a little bit about them. Number 9, the Ubaid Lizardmen figurines. The Lizardmen figurines are a series of small artifacts discovered in archaeological sites of the ancient Ubaid culture, which flourished in Mesopotamia between about 6500 and 3800 BC. These figurines have drawn attention and speculation due to their distinctive appearance. They depict humanoid figures with lizard-like features, including elongated heads, almond-shaped eyes, and in some cases, scaly skin. The figurines were found in several sites across what is now Iraq, including Tel al-Ubaid, a site near the ancient city of Ur. The Lizardmen figurines vary in size and detail, but generally share common characteristics that distinguish them from other anthropomorphic representations of the period. Some of the figurines are depicted in what appears to be a ritual attire, including headgear and skirts, suggesting they may represent deities, priests, or participants in religious ceremonies. The craftsmanship and artistry of the figurines indicate a high level of skill and a rich symbolic or religious tradition within the Ubaid culture. The most widely accepted interpretation of the Ubaid Lizardmen figurines is that they represent gods, deities, or mythological beings within the Ubaid religious pantheon. Their distinct non-human features could symbolize the otherworldly nature of these beings or their association with specific elements, such as a water deity or fertility deity. Another theory suggests that these figurines depict humans wearing ritual masks or costumes, possibly for ceremonies or as part of shamanic traditions. This interpretation aligns with practices observed in other ancient cultures, where animal attributes were adopted in religious contexts to embody or communicate with the spirit world. Some scholars propose that the lizard-like features of the figurines could be symbolic representations of desired qualities, such as regeneration and rebirth, associated with reptiles' ability to shed their skin. This symbolic reading could extend to associations with water and agriculture, crucial elements within the Ubaid culture's development. And of course, there's also theories that represent aliens and ancient astronaut theorists, where essentially these are representations of ancient advanced aliens that have come down, and this was humanity's way of depicting and creating something that looked like them so that they could remember them and share their information going forward. The Ubaid culture is significant for its contributions to the development of urbanization, trade, and the social structures that characterized later Mesopotamian civilizations. The discovery of the Lizardmen figurines, among other artifacts such as pottery, tools, and architectural remains, does provide valuable insight into the culture and religious practices of this early period. However, the scarcity of written records from the Ubaid period limits our understanding of the figurines' exact significance, which is exactly why we have so many different theories about what they could possibly represent. Number 10, the Oera book. The Oera book is a controversial manuscript that emerged in the late 19th century claiming to be an ancient chronicle detailing the history, mythology, and culture of a purportedly ancient civilization in Frisia, a region that roughly corresponds to the modern-day Dutch province of Friesland and parts of northern Germany. Presented as a compilation of texts written in Old Frisian, the manuscript was first made public in 1867 by Cornelius Over de Linden, who then entrusted it to a librarian and Frisian linguist for translation and analysis. However, it was quickly dismissed as a forgery, a view that has been widely accepted by scholars since then. The Oera book contains a mix of cosmology, historical events, and moral lessons purporting to trace the history of the Frisian people back to 2194 BC. It describes the destruction of a land called Atlant, a supposed North Atlantic civilization reminiscent of Atlantis, in 2193 BC. The text also recounts the migrations and settlements of the Frisian people, their societal structures, and their encounters with other cultures and religions. It emphasizes a matriarchal society and includes references to a goddess, promoting themes of female virtue and wisdom. Since its introduction to the public, it has been the subject of significant controversy. Critics have pointed out numerous historical inaccuracies and linguistic inconsistencies in the text, suggesting that it could not have been written in ancient times as claimed. The manuscript's language, purported to be Old Frisian, contains elements of more modern Dutch and does not conform to the linguistic patterns expected of genuinely ancient texts. The consensus among historians and linguists is that the book is a forgery from the 19th century. Investigations have suggested that it was likely authored by Cornelius Over de Linden himself, or with the help of others, possibly as a sort of historical fiction or to promote particular ideological views. Despite its dubious authenticity, the Oera book has been embraced by various groups over the years for its promotion of certain ideologies, including Germanic mysticism and nationalist sentiments. It was notably appropriated by some elements within the Nazi regime for its promotion of Aryan supremacy theories. The book remains a topic of interest not only for its controversial claims, but also for its insights into 19th century European culture and intellectual currents. It reflects the period's fascination with ancient texts, nationalism, and the romanticization of the past. The manuscript is studied as an artifact of cultural history and a cautionary tale regarding the authentication of ancient texts and the susceptibility of ideological manipulation. And with that, that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much to my patrons for supporting me: G Donut, Ethan Wright, Jacob Ziegler, Dr. Swag, Drew Singal, Dates and Dead Guys, Jag, and Bean Fart and Gonch Girl. I really do appreciate y'all. For everyone else, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it more than you know. And if you do enjoy this content, make sure you subscribe. It helps me out a ton. But with that, we'll see you in the next episode.